It has been 7 years since Pokémon GO came out, but I've been busy fighting Ganondorf and his minions in my attempt to 100% The Legend of Zelda 19, Tears of the Kingdom. For some reason beyond my understanding, I'm in the process of filling my wallet with 999,999 rupees before I dare to face the final boss. And so my strategy is to fight rock monsters that drop diamonds. I have to make Link wait about 3 real-world hours to get those monsters to regenerate. So during these windows of downtime, I am writing this script, in parentheses it says now, reading this script, which is now, and editing this video. Year 7 of Pokémon GO started with me getting to level 50, and ended with the prospect of Pokémon Sleep actually being released after quite a few years of delay. But first, let's correct some errors from the previous video. I didn't notice, but for some physical events in Okinawa, Taiwan, and Singapore, called Pokémon Air Adventures, there were several Flying Pikachu costumes obtainable, with unique configurations of balloon colors, as well as Pikachus wearing unique shirts for each of the 3 event locations. I also accidentally omitted Comfy as a Hawaii-exclusive regional while listing the new regionals. On that topic, the new regional Pokemon added to GO were Hawlucha, which is exclusive to Mexico, and raids for the Ultra Beasts, Kartana and Celesteela, were exclusive to the Northern and Southern Hemispheres, respectively. There are fewer players in the Southern Hemisphere compared to the Northern Hemisphere, but it was possible to join their raids using remote raid passes if you were invited by them. I obtained the regional Pokemon Relicanth for myself during the Hoenn GO tour. Relicanth, unfortunately, has gender differences, with the female being much rarer than the male. Try as I might, I hatched as many as I could, but didn't end up getting the female Relicanth. Instead, I got 12 males before the event was over, and at that time I also hatched 18 Torkoal and 14 Tropius. Both of those I already had from previous events in Pokemon GO. There were new costume Pokemon this year, aside from the balloon and shirt Pikachus I mentioned earlier. Among them was Snorlax with a cowboy hat, which, unfortunately, wasn't released outside of the location-specific GO fests. There was also British Beefeater Pikachu, which was the mascot for the 2022 Pokemon World Championships, Shaman Scarf Pikachu, Spooky Vulpix, Ninetales, and Gengar, bow ties and hats for all sizes of Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist, Day of the Dead Duskull, Dusclops, and Dusknoir, little Christmas hats for all the evolutions, 2023 New Year's Pikachu, Pikachu with Brendan and May hats. There was a subtly different flower for the Pikachu and Eevee families, so I had to get all of those. Then there were Team Leader-inspired costumes for Lapras, the Elekid family, and the Ponyta family. The research for those only awarded 1 costumed Pokemon each. And so, let's just say that somebody had to do these research tasks multiple times, and it must have been annoying for them. On the last day of Year 7, they added Party Hat Wartortle and Blastoise. It seems obvious that Party Hat Ivysaur and Venusaur will be released someday. There was a new feature called Daily Adventure Incense. It encourages players to take a 15-minute walk every day while activating a free blue incense. I thought it was pretty clever that they made the Galarian legendary bird trio possible to encounter this way. However, they have a very high flee rate, so in my opinion, it's not worth going after them now if they're eventually going to be in regular raids. New legendary Pokemon added to the game this year were, of course, the Galarian legendary bird trio, as well as Cosmog, Cosmoem, Solagio, Lunala, Regidrago, and Regieleki. Furthermore, the Ultra Beasts added were Buzzwole, Xurkitree, Celesteela, Kartana, and Guzzlord. The only new mythical this year was Keldeo, which was obtained via a paid special research. Some Hisuian Pokemon were added, including their forms of Growlithe, Arcanine, Quillfish, Sneasel, Braviary, Avalugg, and also Overquill, Sneasler, and Cleaver. We don't have the Hisuian starter evolutions, or the Hisuian forms of Lilligant, Zorua, Zoroark, Weirdeer, Sliggoo, or Goodra. Also, we don't have white-striped Basculin. Oh, and also Enamorus. When Unnovan Zorua was implemented into the game, there were a few problems. I heard that it didn't play well with the Pokémon GO Plus. Zorua is disguised as your buddy, but apparently the Pokémon GO Plus didn't know it was a disguise, so sometimes it would succeed in catching a genuine copy of your buddy, or something like that. They had to disable all of our GO Plus devices while they worked to fix the problem. New Mega Evolutions added to the game were Scizor, Alakazam, Aggron, Banette, the Hoenn starters, Glalie, Salamence, Gardevoir, Medicham, Pinsir, and Sableye, as well as both of the primals. We know that Megas for Tyranitar and Rayquaza are coming soon, but there aren't many left in my opinion. Just both Mewtwo's, Heracross, Mawile, Sharpedo, Camerupt, Metagross, Garchomp, Lucario, Gallade, Audino, and Diancie. So actually, they could probably drag that out for another year. Kecleon was finally added to the game. It can appear randomly on Pokestops, getting in the way of you spinning them. If you poke them, they will fall off and you can catch them. And so finally, all of the Hoenn Pokemon have been available in Pokemon GO. Similarly, Larvesta was added to GO, technically concluding the Generation 5 Pokemon being added to the game. But Niantic made their hatch rate very low because they want piles and piles of more money. My advice, again, is to definitely wait all of this out for all these newly added Pokemon to become more common. The Hoenn GO Tour happened shortly after Kecleon was finally added to the game, which let me finally complete the Hoenn medal while only using Pokemon I obtained myself. Also, during this event, you could purchase special research that leads to the capture of Shiny Jirachi. This was particularly significant because Shiny Jirachi is not easy to get in the main games. They were distributed as event Pokemon during Generation 6 in Japan and Hong Kong. Otherwise, my impression is that it's possible to get one from the Jirachi bonus disc or European Pokemon channel, but the odds are still 1 out of 8,192, and I would assume that each encounter is very involved and takes a long time. I never really engaged too much with the buddy system, so when the Shiny Jirachi research made me get 19 more best buddies, I had a lot of work to do. I did it though, finishing right before the release of The Legend of Zelda 19 Tears of the Kingdom, and now I have Shiny Jirachi. If they do a Sinnoh GO Tour next year, it doesn't leave a lot of time for them to release the other Sinnohian Pokemon. Rotom isn't a legendary or mythical, but it basically isn't in the game. I have 2 of the forms from paid events, but the regular form isn't among them, and free-to-play players haven't had a chance to get any of them. Also, Manaphy and Phione have never been released, as well as Arceus, and they usually make a big deal out of a single mythical. I don't think they have time to do 3 big releases like that in time for a Sinnoh GO Tour. I guess we'll see though. The community days this year were Starly, Galarian Zigzagoon, Roggenrola, Litwick, Teddiursa, a combination of previous community days, Chespin, Noibat, both forms of Slowpoke together, Togetic, Fennekin, and Axew. The Community Day Classics this year were Dratini, Larvitar, and Swinub. I really messed up Swinub Community Day by purchasing the research and forgetting to finish it during the event. Hopefully next winter I'll find enough Swinubs to finish the research. Pokemon GO has affected the main series yet again. It provides a really good way to obtain different Vivillon forms in the main series. Previously, I was able to catch them all by using a combination of my North American 3DSs, a European 2DS, and a Japanese 3DS. Now, you can send the postcards you get from your friends in Pokemon GO to Scarlet and Violet. And doing so changes the forms of Wild Vivillon, Spupa, and Scatterbug in those games for 24 hours, in order for them to reflect the region where the postcard was from. At the end of Dratini Community Day Classic, there was a new Pokemon who showed up but was unable to be captured. This Pokemon would later be known as Pokemon 999, Gimmighoul. Gimmighoul has 2 forms. Its chest form is obtainable in Scarlet and Violet, and the roaming form is visible in those games but unobtainable in the game itself. The roaming form is exclusively obtainable in Pokemon Go using an item called a coin bag, which works as a lure for them. I caught at least one, and eventually sent it to my living Pokedex in Pokemon Home. Gimmighoul can evolve in Pokemon Go in exchange for 1,000 mysterious coins, and gathering them is an arduous task that I haven't done yet. You can transfer one postcard per day to a Scarlet or Violet, and every 5 of those you will get a golden lure, which can be used to obtain some coins for half an hour. The best way to get 1,000 is to work together with friends and have everyone use their lures at the same time and place. The new Shadow legendaries this year were Shadow Latios, Registeel, Regice, and Regirock. There are now Shadow Pokemon in raids. I don't have a lot to say about that, except that every time Giovanni shows up, I tell him to go away. And now I've defeated Giovanni 20 times, giving me the Gold Ultra Hero medal. They also introduced something called Elite Raids, which do not allow for remote raid passes to be used on them, and so they must be done in person. These raids are notable for having a 24-hour countdown. Pokemon that were in Elite Raids included Hoopa Unbound, Regidrago, and Regieleki. I believe I randomly got the Unknown I from the Level 50 Challenge Special Research, and I also got Unknown N from the Unknown Encounters during the Hoenn Go Tour, and P from the 2022 Go Fest finale. I also purchased the 6th set of magnets for my fridge. I love them so much. Pokemon Go added categories for size variation per species, and they added medals for obtaining a certain number of extra large and extra small sized Pokemon. On the final day of Year 7, I noticed something called a Pokestop Showcase. It sounds similar to a Pokemon contest, and it takes place at gyms. It seems to me like people can submit a Pokemon of a particular species into up to 3 showcases at a time, and whoever has the tallest Pokemon of that species wins the showcase at 8 a.m. There's a medal for how many times you've won as well, and it sounds pretty cool, but I'm probably not going to engage with that feature too much unless I have to. I've only seen one contest, but there could be contests for the smallest Pokemon. Niantic slowly rolled out the ability to use their companion app called Campfire. Its most interesting feature, in my opinion, is a live raid map for the entirety of the world. During the Halloween season, there were pumpkins everywhere on the overworld, and there were also orange Pokestops. This was aesthetically nice, but I recall constantly mistaking pumpkins for Pokemon and tapping on them in vain. We finally have the Master Ball. I predict that someday I will accidentally use it to catch something super unimportant. Pokemon Go Fest 2023 will take place in August and will feature Diancie as well as Mega Rayquaza. At the beginning of Year 7, Surskit wasn't able to be shiny, but now it can. Now, the next Pokemon in the Pokedex that can't be shiny is Pachirisu, which is one of the regional Pokemon that I'll hopefully obtain for myself during the Sinnoh Go Tour. Hopefully I'll catch a Carnivine too. Pokemon Sleep got a new trailer, and I was able to place my pre-order for Pokemon Go++. They say that Pokemon Sleep will release in late July. I think it's going to be interesting to be incentivized to sleep for reasons other than just my physical and mental well-being. Thank you all for watching. This has been Year 7. Next video will be Year 8, a year from now, probably. Yeah. Another video. When do I stop doing these? I'm not really sure.